Welcome back, everybody. I believe this is episode 82 of the Lookout Podcast. Gosh, I don't even remember the number at this point.
82.
Yes, it's absolutely 82. We're here, obviously. My name is Meelz. I am here with the birthday boy, not Platinum Chanel, but the birthday boy.
This is true, man. 31, man.
Wow. 31. Listen, you got me beat by a couple weeks.
Just a few.
Just a couple days. It's not even that long. It's like legitimately, you're the first. I'm the 17th. 16 days. Who's counting? A couple hours, etc.
Yeah,
but
man.
First of all, how do you just plan on celebrating? I mean, this will come out after your birthday.
Yeah, technically. But that's okay. It's just my best friend Malone, his birthday was last Friday. And he turned 31 as well. So we did something Saturday with just some friends, and I kind of considered that the birthday thing. But I took off work, so that's the most important thing. I was not at work on Monday.
Thank you for that.
I did not go.
I need that from you. I need to hear that from you.
Yeah.
I need to hear that you took off.
I really took off, bro. Like I was not there on Monday, and that was very important to me because sometimes, you just. I don't know. Sometimes you just go in and you're like, whatever. But nah, not this time.
Absolutely. Enjoy your day. Enjoy everything that comes from my friend and everyone. I want to make sure everyone who's listening to this podcast, whether you know it or not, whether it's a day late or not, please wish, Jeff a happy birthday. You can do it at the Lookout RNC, or you can do it at Old Newsboy on Twitter. But nonetheless, 31. Here we are.
Jesus.
We got a big episode to talk about this week. Just purely because, all right, we're doing it at your request, however, because this episode we're talking about Dr. Stone, Stone Wars, season 2.
Science hours, man.
Absolutely.
A series I really, really enjoy that I didn't think that I would. You almost talked me out of it originally.
How?
I don't know if I ever told you that, because the first time I had before I had looked at Dr. Stone, I think you had previously watched a few, and you were just like, "Yo, man. You're ready to watch some science courses and learn about different type of things. This is your show." But you were kind of just saying
periodic table.
Yeah. And at that point, I was like, all right, well, maybe one day I'll check this. I'll check this shit out one day. So I almost didn't even get into it, and I think it was one day. And I think I had told you, I was like, "Yo, I'm starting Dr. Stone today," and I got through it. I really enjoyed season 1.
What made you want to start it? What made you want to start it?
I want to say it was around the Demon Slayer hype. I think I just wanted a change. I knew I wasn't going to get the same violence that I usually get from anime. So it was just a really different speed and change for me, and I really enjoyed it. Most of the animes I'm really into, they have cute moments, but they get violent, and very violent. So Dr. Stone was definitely a different speed, and I really enjoy it. I like the science behind it, and the characters are great. I just think it's a really good show. I think it's a different genre that people should definitely tap into when it comes to just anime that have different stories. You watching Haiku, and hey, it's about volleyball, but it's hard. It's fire.
Absolutely.
And
So
it just kind of caught me.
We'll be definitely going into Dr. Stone. This is our first kind of venturing into the Dr. Stone world. So we're going to catch you guys all up on everything that you missed in season 1, and also kind of what's going on in season 2. But we have to start out. Our podcast. It's a new segment. It's going to be a recurring segment for as long as things are just going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's Titan time.
It's Titan time, man.
Here's where I would put music if I knew what music I would put here. But it's Titan time. We have to talk about this week's episode of Attack on Titan. We talked about it last week at length. We kind of went over episode 2 through 7, kind of dropped back to where we are in the season. This episode...
man, look. Intense. Sad. Something I wasn't ready for at all.
Mm-hmm.
This is not anything I would have hoped for at any point.
All right, so let's talk about the big points of this episode, because I think the biggest point from this episode has to be that the world has a new public enemy,
Yeah.
and it's Gabi. Not Gabby, not to be confused as Gabby, because I thought it was Gabby.
It's really not Gabby.
I watched Attack on Titan dub last night, and they call her Gabi.
Yeah, Gabi, which is
little.
Whatever.
It's a little annoying distinction, but
from the spelling, it does make sense because it's not Gabby or Gabbi. Is Gabi, but whatever. We're American.
Oh, whatever.
It's Gabby, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Gabi. I'm gonna call her Gabi just to
Gabi's fine. Gabi's fine.
Gabi reminds me of Dabi. Dabi reminds me of my hero. My hero reminds me that you haven't caught up in the manga yet. It's a whole, it's it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing that I kind of have to, just kind of endure as I do this. But nonetheless, Gabi is public enemy number 1 on Twitter as we speak. We were recording this an hour after this episode is dropped, and Gabi is 100%
little bitch.
From someone who I guess I don't even know if people had sympathy for her.
I liked her. I made it clear. I thought really ambitious, fearless, a great character who could have a really nice storyline going forward, which I don't doubt that's still not going to happen. That's still going to happen. I'm sure it will. But, I liked her. I was like, okay, this is going to be a pretty cool character just off her personality alone. I figured much, but
now you're losing a lot of past tense because
yeah, you noticed? Yeah, no. What she did in this episode was unforgivable for me. Okay,
just talk about it. She showed up. She showed up. She 100% showed up. She showed up on so. Let's kind of recap the entire thing of how it went here. She shows up on pretty much still with vigor, so much in her heart, especially after seeing Reiner getting taken down in one friggin' blow. It was ridiculous. It was actually kind of pathetic the way he was taken down with one punch.
Washed.
One Punch Man. That's what we call an Attack Titan today. So she has a lot of vigor. She has a lot of vengeance in her heart, and it's obviously paralleling Eren in the early episodes of Attack on Titan. Sure, so we actually understand what they're going on with the story here. So she shows up. She sees the blimp that's going across, and she I gotta get there somehow, even though she's just running after it. I don't know if she had an initial plan of how she was gonna get on the blimp.
Yeah.
She was the blimp is in the sky. It is moving, I assume, at, a couple, maybe a couple, 70, 80, 100, 200 miles per hour.
I don't know how fast blimps go, but that shit was moving.
I don't know. I didn't come with that type of preparation for this podcast.
Yeah. It was moving, though. It was moving.
It was 100% moving. But she showed up, and she was like, yo, I'm ready to take you down. And luckily, there's a scene. I like the scene where they had the opportunity between her and Falco, and he's just Falco's yo, just chill, chill.
It's not worth it.
Chill.
Calm down.
It's not worth it.
You run around with a rifle. You can't reach them. They're up there.
There's the blimp. Do you understand? You're down here, and the blimp is up there. How the hell are you going to get to the blimp? And Falco, who I guess is still lingering a lot of emotions from what just happened. And also still realizing a lot from what's happened, especially since he sat in that whole basement with Eren and Reiner and kind of got the whole ideal of what's going on. It's just
what I like about Falco is he seems to be a great thinker. He's logical. And because he kind of says it to Gabi, hey, some horrible things happened to them. That's why this happened. And it wasn't an excuse for what just happened to his people and everyone here. It was just hey, this is why, this wasn't just something random, we've had this coming. Yeah. And Gabi was kind of just she really didn't want to hear that shit,
Gabi was Gabi asked the question, did you see it happen?
Yeah. Which is damn, bro. He couldn't say he did, obviously, but he knew it was true just off seeing Reiner,
Right. Anyway, Gabi, the Paul Blart mall cop who was left hanging off of the blimp.
Poor guy. They didn't even mourn over.
No. No one mourned over him. No one had realized like, oh, that guy's dead. It was just like,
I mean, to be fair,
his
they told him
name
to come up. So
former, and he was like, listen, I don't need to come up. The garrison, no one needs the garrison anymore. I'm just an overpaid, balding, fat guy hanging from a blimp, man. You don't need me. You guys are young. You guys have your whole lives ahead of you.
They paused and looked out the door and said, okay, you're right now.
All right, yeah.
and let him just do his thing. Like,
maybe he's right. I mean, yeah, why not? Former garrison commander Lobov. I'm sure I'm fucking his name up, but
who cares?
Who cares? He's
dead. He got Gabi sniped his ass with that damn.
First of all, him sniping and then his body just kind of like.
That was awful. What an awful scene. He's just going in different directions, like just whipping around.
Damn, that blimp is moving fast.
Yeah, that's how we found out the blimp was really moving.
So anyway, I guess that was the sound of like his like string unstringing.
Yeah, basically.
Because he lands on the ground and he's there for a while they have this whole conversation, and Gabi is just like, yo, I'm stealing whatever Batman shit they got, and I'm zooming my way up into this blimp. Yeah. And mind you, she did it on the dead body. It's like she didn't even like take the gun out of his hand. She was just like, I'm just rolling on this. I'm just rolling with him. To the point where I believe after this conversation, what's his name shows up and tries to stop him. I forget who it was. Shit, I forgot his name. Colt. There we go. Colt tries to show up and stop them. But it's too late because Gabi presses the thing. She's, flying up the thing like Batman. Falco, who I think it's confirmed, like he has a crush on her. I'm not sure if it's like a friendly.
Yeah, I don't know. How old are they? 12?
Gotta be like 13.
Something
14.
around that. I knew something wasn't right, man. Like, as soon as when they hit the blimp, and Sasha turns around, she's like, "Did you guys hear that? Did you hear anything?" And then, like, that's when I knew something wasn't right. Standard, you know it, Meelz. Just
standard horror movie.
Yeah.
You guys hear that?
It's bad. I was like, "Oh no."
He was like, "Nah, that's just Flock doing his thing, man. It's
He's doing a great job. He'll make it."
Boy, do I hate Flock. But I like the one moment that he had in this episode. But most people are going to hate Flock. Most people do hate Flock currently right now. Flock, if you don't know him, he's like, Flock represents a character who shows up in like season 6 of a show and tries to get involved with the main plot, but everyone's kind of like, but you weren't really here before. He's like that Matthew. Remember, Boy Meets World?
Of course.
Sean's brother.
yeah. When he gets on the show, all late, it's like, are we supposed to like one of the what's their brothers' names? What's in real life? The Matthew brothers?
I think it's the Matthew.
But yeah, I know you're talking about. We don't care.
Taylor
about
Thomas? I don't know.
The Thompson brothers?
I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
I would hope most people listening to this know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, I'm not sure what the 2010s, 20s equivalent is. But most people don't like Flock. But he has a redeemable moment at some point in this episode. But Gabi, she zooms up with Falco. They show up on the plane. Everyone looks around slowly. She lets off a shot. Boom, right into the torso of Sasha.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, a moment that was just pure joy for a second is now filled with pure terror, because they have lost a really good one. And not only just a good one, like in episode 1, a day 1, Sasha.
Yeah, Sasha's just, I don't know, man. I wasn't anticipating this, bro. I'll be honest with you. I think it was something that, obviously it's Attack on Titan, so you really don't, you can never take this out of context of like, oh, somebody important is gonna get killed. You never know, but
you never know.
This shit really was just like, it was a lot, considering I know Sasha is a fan favorite in general.
Oh, she's big trending.
Yeah, I believe it. Like, people care about this woman, so She was always a very funny character. Personality was great. A warrior, you know.
Evolved into a very much so sharpshooter. Like
Yeah.
she's a she is. How would you say? What would her role be? I would say like Miami Heat Ray Allen type of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no, for sure. Like she's automatic, you know, like she's a great team player, somebody you want to have on the squad for sure.
absolutely. So she shot. What I didn't see coming was all those soldiers going up and beating Gabi.
Dude, they beat her ass, bro. And it was so funny, like they were so devastated that all you see is just her getting punched. And I was like, damn, they beat her ass.
I was like, Japan crazy, because they would not have shown that in the United States.
Yeah, you know, we don't get to see kids get beat up all willy-nilly out here.
Not enough. Anyway, they get beat up. Again, this goes to my Flock moment. Flock, he ties them up. He says, so should we throw them off here?
Hey, I would have been. Honestly, like if it was me up there, man, I would have had to let loose, man. I would have had to.
Somebody gotta go.
I would have had to kill her, bro. Yeah, I would have had to kill her, bro. Straight up. I'm not taking her hostage. You know, I'm not questioning her. Like it's over. It's over. But you know how shit go, bro.
My man Flock said, yo, I'll toss him outside. Like, I'll do it myself. We see them in the wind and stuff like they not making it to parody. Man.
Yeah,
they're not making it
Get them out of here. Get them out of here.
It's a steep fall from a blimp moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour, apparently. But Gene, my man with the very rom-com haircut, he says,
yeah, man,
listen,
clean.
When does it all end?
Oh, like, man, it ends here, man. Kill this bitch, bro. Like, did you not just see what happened, bro? Like, all this. When will the killing stop? If we throw these kids off board, when will the killing stop, bro?
Killing ain't gonna stop, bro.
Killing ain't gonna stop, man. I'm over here sitting here like, what would Sasha do?
Yeah,
Sasha would have murked these kids, bro.
Yo, listen. Don't even say. Gabi would have tossed them off crazy.
Yeah, bro.
Like she would have been like, nah, and we hanging them. Like we doing it. We going full Scarface style.
Yeah, it's gonna get rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. But no, they were like, no, keep the kids, and you can speak to our commanding officer in this. And they go into the room, and it's dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Yo, Zeke, what are you doing here?
Zeke, bro, what is happening, bro? What's going on?
It was an inside job. Listen,
inside job.
I give credit to the anime for not immediately, because in the manga there is absolutely a panel that completely hints to this exact moment happening.
Mm-hmm.
It might be episode 3, it might be episode 2, but you see Eren sitting on the bench and he has a baseball glove, and he says that he got that from a friend of his. In the manga, they show that he gets that baseball glove from Zeke, and they show this all before all this happens. Yeah, they show way before all this happens.
That's crazy.
So it's clear that Zeke and Eren had been in some sort of cahoots for a long time.
Wow.
But them just seeing that Zeke was into this and all this other stuff like that, and we're learning as well that everyone from the ships that went to Parody that was supposed to attack the island, they have now been recruited to the Parody Survey Corps, their forces, which is very, very interesting. That's where the black guy comes from. Honestly, I don't even want to mess up your name, brother, because it's a very long name.
We won't do that.
A lot of vowels in there.
We won't do that to you.
There's not even an A in there, or just I don't even want to do it to you, but we see that when Peak says like, "Yo, I remember one of those soldiers, like the soldier that led us to that well. It was from one of the chicks who we sent on the first fleet to Parody after Reiner came back."
Yeah,
and he was like, "How do you remember?" Because I was tight feeling her.
Yeah, he was like, I was kind of, yeah, I wanted that, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I remember that. It's like, yo, I remember that piece of ass anyway.
Yeah, he's like, you can't
Um,
tell me nothing. Like, you don't remember that?
how did you feel about Zeke's reveal that he's part of
No,
that
it
he's
was
part of the
awesome. I wasn't anticipating it. Obviously, I haven't. The manga is not something I've dived into for Attack on Titan. So yeah, it blew my mind. You did say, I said earlier, maybe the biggest thing that happened was, Sasha's death. But yeah, thinking about it, just two big things happened, and this was obviously the swerve. And I think it's crazy. I think there's so much to learn about it, and yeah, it's wild, bro. I liked it. I liked it.
I liked it as well. It's clear they don't trust Zeke.
They don't,
It's just
and
clear.
they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
He was like, "Yo, you threw them rocks a little extra hard on there. You added a little bit of extra English on them rocks." And he was like, "Well, seems like you thoroughly enjoyed slicing my neck open and throwing a bomb in there. I don't think I agreed about any bomb, but
Right.
you was doing your thing, I was doing my thing, we were all doing our thing. What this plan will evolve into, we don't know yet. We just don't know. But we do know that the Survey Corps is absolutely pissed at Eren. Like, pissed.
I have to be understanding in that situation because he was absolutely wild.
The man's a psycho.
Yeah, he was out of control. That's the bottom line. Like, he was a wild guy, but he don't give a fuck about nothing right now except revenge.
I love when he shows back on the ship and he meets with Levi. And it's just like old times. You know what I'm saying?
This man Levi beat his ass real quick. Oh man, you look awful. Nigga, go get a haircut. He started really getting at him.
I'm surprised he was still calling him captain. My man was just like, "Hey, captain."
Man, Levi beat that ass. Otherwise, it might have got worse if you didn't call him captain.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Anyway, no one is happy with Eren at this point. Even Mikasa and Armin, they can only look kind of like in sorrow, just for all the events that have transpired based on what Eren has kind of done. And there's a line here where it's like, you took advantage of the trust that, for abusing the trust in the Survey Corps and forcing them into action and betraying the Corps' trust in the process. So essentially, the trust that they had in him, of course, to save him, but then they abused that when he came up with this entire plan. He went to this island completely on his own to settle a score, and he pretty much dragged them into this course of action. And
didn't think about any of the casualties that was going to happen because of him, and I don't mean on the enemy side.
Right. And what has resulted from this is, Eren was like, I bought you guys a little bit of time. He was like, you just first of all, you showed up at an event where all the world's leaders are, where they're plotting to kill us anyway. So now they have all the ammunition to show up. We have every country on Earth wanting to beat our ass. Legitimately all of them.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Eren.
And we lost Sasha. So, day one, someone you knew from the beginning, someone who snuck, and we have that final scene where Eren just asked, like, what were her final words? And Connie, who is very much so stricken because Connie has lost everything. And
yeah, man, Connie loves Sasha too, bro. You already know what's up.
Absolutely. And he says her last words are meat, and he laughs.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was a laugh. It wasn't. It was evil though. Like, it wasn't like, of course she said that. How funny, good old Sasha. No, it was like, it was evil. Like, it was.
Yeah.
Everything went as planned. Like, it was one of those, like.
Right. Eren is, I guess. He's not. I mean, we've seen the evolution of this. He's not in the right state of mind with all of this kind of going on, and it became
of some sort
clear at the end of the episode when he just laughed. Even at the saddest moment that they're all experiencing a friend, and we saw the flashbacks and all the other stuff like that, and
Right.
everything that she's contributed to the series thus far. And he's just, I felt like he wanted to be sad, but all he can do is laugh, and that's kind of what the warped thing inside of him is kind of brought out.
Yeah, my final thing, like my final kind of thought about this episode and like the Gabi hate that's gonna come from it. Obviously, you know, it's easy to say, hey, she was just, you know, she's just doing what she had to do, or like obviously she's on the other side, so you know she's gonna react in a she's gonna retaliate. But also she's a child. She doesn't really know the situation. Which is why I respected Falco's position on, you know, remembering that he needs to protect her or remembering that he needs to try to be there for her, because she doesn't know the situation like Falco knows the situation.
Right.
And I think when you put everything that you know into consideration, you can at least have some type of understanding why this shit happened.
Right.
But you know, she doesn't care. Gabi doesn't. She doesn't care how it led to this. She just sees, you know, her friends and family and people of that nature, people she knows being killed, trampled, you know, dropped on with a rock. She lost her mind, and I can't be mad at that. But I think that it was dangerous and it was stupid, and it was selfish for her to make the moves that she made, which led to Sasha's death. So that's kind of my, you know, that's my final thought on it. I don't like her. I will not be rooting for her any longer. But, you know, I know there's more to come because this is Attack on Titan. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
They now, what we got to look forward to are their adventures on the island and them figuring out how exactly things are on the other side. Because, you know, it's a little bit of parallel to kind of the initial, you know, the initial Bertold, Annie, Reiner coming over to the island and them having full hate in their heart for everything that's going on. With Falco knowing what's going on, he has less hate and he's kind of a little bit more understanding. But Gabi absolutely does and has all the vigor and all the vitriol that she has for these people that she doesn't quite know yet, but she's about to get full experience.
Is Falco trying to get the inherited Titan just so Gabi can't?
He's 100% trying to get a Titan so she can't.
He's like, man, I don't want her to. Yeah, he just wants to have her normal life.
Yeah, absolutely. But nah, she's a murderer. So you know what? I would have threw her off the plane.
Straight up.
Would have been the end of that.
It was selfish. It was selfish. I don't consider what happened to Sasha as a casualty of war. Like I really don't. Like I thought it was just a selfish thing that shouldn't have happened. I know they retreated because of the circumstances. Everybody was gassed. It was over. Like nobody could do anything. It was a wrap. They were like, let's get the fuck up out of here. Whoop de whoop. They do that. Sasha's been obviously hurt since she, you know, saw her homie and her homegirl get murked. And so she wanted to retaliate in selfish ways. So cause it's not like if they would have left, they would have been planning something anyways. You know, I mean,
of course.
you know how
she probably could have got a Titan.
Absolutely,
you know,
bro.
She would have been souped up, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
And they're lucky. She's lucky they didn't kill her ass on the spot. So, you know, whatever, man. I definitely would have threw her off the blimp though. If I was, even if I was the driver, like if I was the nigga up front, I would have been like, hey, no.
Not my blimp.
Yeah, not my blimp, bro. Get her out of here, man. The kid can stay. He has potential, man.
Yeah, listen. You see this one right here? She gotta
go.
Wilding.
She's wilding. Because just Falco's dialogue alone is like, oh, he's not that bad, you know.
Absolutely. Okay, that was Titan time for this week. I feel like we went overtime, but guess what? Sometimes Titan time goes overtime. Sometimes we got a lot to talk about. We had to talk about the whole Sasha ordeal because Sasha's a major character, and she will be missed and she will be mourned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into what we came to talk about, the main event of this thing. Dr. Stone. I'm closing my Attack on Titan window now, and I'm opening up my Dr. Stone fandom page right now. So I have
Doctor
a few.
Stone.
Obviously, if for people who aren't necessarily familiar with the series, Doctor Stone is a series that, I mean, we talked about a little bit in the earlier part of this episode, but Doctor Stone
Mhm.
is a series based on a lot of science fiction, a lot of fantasy, a lot of things. Kind of, it has an interesting premise that kind of kicks off the entire series, and I think it's that
Yeah,
interesting premise in itself that draws people in.
it absolutely
Uh,
does. It absolutely does. The mystery behind how we got to this point, because it doesn't just happen right away. You actually get a nice feel of like uh, character development early before anything
mhm.
wild and reckless actually happens, which I can appreciate. And you get drawn in. Not to mention the character design is really unique. It doesn't really look like anything else. So I liked it just off that. But then when you actually have the premise, which is this flash goes off and the entire world becomes stone, you're like, what is this? Why is this happening?
The premise itself, it's just like you said. Imagine you're in a world where everything is going right for a sudden, and then a green flash goes off, and the entire world is petrified, and no one knows why, no one knows how, no one knows when,
But
but
bro,
all they
like
know is that everyone turns to stone.
everyone turns to stone, and then I mean, thousands of years go by. When do they wake up? When does they wake up? I wish I
I
had
think
this in
it's like
front of me.
3,000 some years
3,000
after.
some years, bro, to the point where they don't need to eat, they don't need to use the bathroom. Some of these people are so strong mentally that they're alive
Oh yeah.
within
Well,
this stone and counting down the days.
well, only one person is doing that.
Well,
And that
yeah, but he is the smartest person in anime history.
absolutely. Well, all right. So the entire series is about the protagonist Senku, who is trying to uncover the mystery of how and what happened when the entire world was petrified all at once. And it happens in the first episode of the series. They
Mhm.
kind of it evolves very quickly from one person getting unpetrified to another to another to another, and then it kind of rolls on from there.
Yeah,
But and the adventure goes on from there. But I would actually want to ask a few questions before we get into the actual anime
for sure,
itself.
for sure.
um, would you say that Doctor Stone? Would you say that it's a? I don't want to say. You know what? Let me not ask that because I know what your answer is. Um, would you recommend this anime to a friend?
I absolutely would, because especially if my friend already watches anime, because it's such a different speed, such a different feel, the dialogue. What your most anime fans, the ones that they can tell you about, 9 times out of 10 they're fairly violent. you know uh, and I think it's nice to kind of show another side of anime. I mentioned to you before, with haiku, and you watching that type of show that really is not a violent show per se, like it's about something specific. I honestly, I just got done watching Death Note again, all 36 episodes in season 1, just because. And although, yeah, Death Note is like a disturbing show, like it's kind of detective-y, like it's a good show, and sometimes I need a different speed. So I would absolutely tell someone, hey, you need to check out Dr. Stone, because I actually think it's better than the attention that it's gotten, and I think it'll be bigger than what people assume. I just think season 2 is really the one that will take it to the next level, because yes, although I did enjoy the downtime of the science stuff and the building and the dialogue and all that, but Stone Wars is a lot more uh, active action, things of that
Absolutely.
nature. So I think people will catch on.
Well, I think it's a major stark difference from most anime, which uses, I guess, a lot of a lot of faith and
Mhm.
a lot of like you know there's stuff like Heart of the Cards. It's a lot less tangible stuff that leads to
Yeah.
kind of victories where their sole purpose and their only direction is it has to make sense
Yes, it has to make
and
sense,
it works.
and it
It
works.
has to make sense by
See,
science standards.
that's why I love about it, because when they explain it to you, I mean, the things that Senku is doing, like he's going by the book. Like he's going based off the things that he actually knows, and he's using the resources that are around him and that are available. And it's not it's if this was to really happen, I like to watch anime and I like to put myself in that realm, in that world, in that universe. So death and love and murder and happiness, and it makes sense to me because I feel like I'm there. I like to watch it as if this is a real world. And
Right.
if this really happened and somebody woke up in this, I mean, this is how you have to do it, right? To bring back, civilization. And yeah, I love the techniques, and you do end up learning a lot of things that you probably just didn't know. But yeah, I think it's a brilliant. I do think it's a brilliant show, bro. Like I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I think its pros is most much based into the fact that you're kind of seeing something that's very much so different from the norm of standard anime, which uses a lot of science, uses a lot of logic, and less of like ambition and all. I mean, they're still ambitious people and stuff like that, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's a lot less fantasy driven into the plot than anything else. It's more
Mhm.
so, you know, actual facts and stuff like that. But I also think there's a little bit of cons that lie into that as well, because I
For
do
sure.
think that they spend a lot of time. The thing is, you're gonna get the same amount of time them spent on making cotton candy as they do making things that are actually useful in the in
Correct.
the actual plot that they have.
There is filler. Okay, like, and I do feel like some filler has purpose. I think you can find that in any anime, whether you like filler or you don't. But yeah, you're absolutely right. One day there'll be, Senku's trying to make a Coke, and then the next he's trying to make, a cell phone. Like
Right.
I get it. I get it. You're gonna have silly episodes, and they may put some real news. They may sprinkle it in there, but it's nice. The characters are lovable. The dialogue is great. Um, you learn a lot. It's fun. Like I said, you're not gonna get a lot of violence right away, but if you're looking for something to just kind of like zone in on, lock in on, and have fun with gradually, this is it. I think it has a lot of potential.
What would you say was your favorite part of the first season of this anime? Because the first season, it kind of the first season, it laid the foundation for me for the second season, which is
Mhm.
incredibly much shorter than the first season is going to be. The second season is going to be around 11, 12 episodes. That first season was 22
Yeah, yeah,
episodes.
it really is like two. They probably could have split that season one up, but I get they wanted to go straight into Stone Wars as its own thing.
Hmm.
So I'm not mad at it. You're right. I think it was like 24 fucking episodes.
Yeah, it was long. I was
It
like,
was
wow, this
long.
is still going on. I can't believe it.
Yeah, yeah, but no, one of my favorite episodes was when they finally went full circle with Senku's dad.
mm,
And we got to kind of see what happened, like what happened with his dad. His father was in space.
from a perspective of someone who wasn't
Yes,
petrified, but
absolutely. It was brilliant to me. It was
and
brilliant to
it
me.
and it lends a little bit that's something I could have seen them doing a little bit later in the series,
Mhm.
in terms of uncovering that, but I'm kind of glad that they did it in the first season as well. But it kind of
Same,
lays the
same.
foundation for like, okay, why are these people here? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because there's an entire
Absolutely.
village of people who weren't petrified, who just kind of grew up naturally in this environment, and they're progressing at the speeds of like, the old stuff. They're kind of like post caveman,
Yeah.
um a lot more, I guess I would say, nomads moving, trying to figure out. They're not at the science level yet where they're discovering things like Edison or anything like that, but they're definitely at that level where it's just like there's people, there's order, there's structure, there's government, there's like
Yeah.
irrigation, and like,
Real shit going on. And I think it was episode 16 into like 17 where this happened at this point where they're kind of talking about Senku's his name. Um
hmm
which was that was what a twist that was too, when they got to the other village and the stories about basically Senku's father.
hmm
Which is just I don't know, man. Like they did a really good job putting everything together and just making it work.
absolutely. I think my favorite parts of the first season, it had to be probably the beginning, because it was in a sense legit trying to figure out what's going on as it's going on. And um Senku comes with it, and we're going to get into the Stone Wars with this, but he's trying to figure out like, who do we save and who do we not save, and
Mhm.
what do we do. and he ends up saving this guy. I believe his name is Tsukasa.
As smart as Senku is, bruh, they
I
made
mean,
some
he
weird.
saved.
I get
He
it.
he thought he was going to be like, all right, this guy can hunt for us. He can kill
I
for us.
get
He
it.
can be
I
our
get it.
bodyguard. And
But
that man was like, no.
no, he was not about it. Like he wanted to purify the world, the new, the new upcoming world in a different way. So he's like, I'm gonna start knocking off stone heads. You can't bring this guy back. Nope, not him, not him. This guy's the world's strongest high schooler. What a weird title.
Yeah, that's weird.
He
That's
looks
weird
like he's
shit.
about 35, but whatever.
Absolutely. First of all these characters are drawn beautifully. There's no
Oh,
days off on this
no days
anime.
off. It's so easy to look at. Um, it's clean cut. I like
They have distinctive features, like
yes,
all these other stuff
yes.
like that.
Senku is a great design. He could easily be a Dragon Ball Z antagonist, and nobody would.
Hmm.
Like, he could be a super antagonist, and nobody would blink an eye. Like, oh, this motherfucker looks tight as fuck. Like,
I mean,
um,
you looking at Granola, you might see a little Senku in there. To be honest with you,
yeah,
I'm just saying.
I should see it. I
Um,
see it. Granola. People are gonna be
but
mad about that one, by the way. We haven't even got to we haven't even got to talk about that, but
we haven't got to
people
talk about it, but we will talk
people
about
are
it
not gonna like
eventually.
that.
But with that said, um, they try to figure that out. They learn, and you see it does something where it takes like human society and structure, especially in the beginning part, and it's a very bare bones look at kind of stuff that we have now in terms of different type of people, different type of ideals, and everything kind of clashing with one another. And there's some people who like your ideals are different than their ideals, but they're willing to accept yours, kind of like what becomes the Village of Signs, or I forget if that's the actual name. Or Tsukasa, where it's just like your ideals don't mix with my ideals, and
Right.
might comes before right, and we're going to figure out, and we're going to put this world in our kind of the way that we want to reflect it, which he isn't wrong,
He's
but
not.
it's like he's in terms of like, okay, I want to create this utopia. I don't want the same old thing that we kind of like grew up on, where it's a
Yeah.
bunch of tyrants and people taking advantage of other people. I want everyone to kind of be on the same level. So he
Right.
isn't technically like wrong,
He's not
but
wrong. Senku's more like,
everyone,
"Bruh, these people didn't deserve to all. He wants to bring everything back to normal. Period. Because he's like,
right?
you
No,
might as well
because you're
just bring
right.
everybody
All these people didn't deserve to be petrified at the same time, and we don't even know
back.
why it happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone was petrified at the same level. It's not like someone was petrified and it's like these people who take precedence over these people who are petrified, or it's like, okay, we're petrifying the the poor or the black or
Yeah.
something along those lines. Um, Everyone was petrified at the same time, so he wants to save everyone else. So the story eventually evolves. He gets into a conflict with Tsukasa. Tsukasa breaks his neck, kind of. Senku, with science, avoids his neck actually being broken.
He
Um,
left a little bit. A little bit of stone, you know what I'm saying? How smart is this nigga, man?
um, he disappears into a forest, believes his best friend. His name is uh Taiju. Taiju,
Yeah,
who kind of represents um he kind of represents the heart of the show to me, whereas Senku's the brain, Taiju's the heart. He's
he's a little
in
annoying.
another world. Yeah. In another world, he would be the protagonist.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like
I feel like he's the. I don't want to say. I'm not gonna say Krillin. I didn't mean to really. I wasn't gonna say that. But like,
he's
as far
not
as being,
Krillin.
he's not a Krillin. But he's. If there's a 1A, 1B, he's the 1B.
Absolutely. Because people do generally like, especially from the first moments he's on screen, he's trying to like fall in love with this girl named Zaira,
Hmm.
and
I
he,
felt that. I felt him. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and then he got petrified and wasn't able to do it, and now he's just living with her. And I don't know if they're dating or anything of the rather at this point, but they're certainly together.
They're together now.
Anyway, Senku, yeah, he decides he's going to figure out there was a fire at some point. He's like, yo, I gotta figure out who made that fire because there's got to be other people on this world. He lands in this village. He meets with the people. He's a major influence on said people. We eventually learn that those people are the ancestors of pretty much his dad and all the other people who survived on that space travel thing.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's spoiling it for you if you haven't watched Doctor Stone, but
okay. Lock in if you haven't. Shit.
Right, but he inspires them a lot, especially a kid named Chrome who becomes the whole technician of the group, who's just as inspired by science as anybody else, and they meet a whole bunch of other people like the warrior Kinro. There's Ginro. There's Suika with the melon head thing.
One of my favorite characters.
There's Kaseki, who's the old guy who makes a lot of the stuff. There's Rory, who's just beautiful.
Rory thick. They be wilding over Yuri too, bro. I'm like, yo, calm down, bro.
And there is probably one of my favorite characters, Jen.
You love
intellectual.
Jen a lot?
I like Jen. I like to cut his jib. I like the fact that he's both.
Jen is a funny ass character.
He's serious. He can be used as a tool, and he can also be used as comedic effect. He's really like a full, how'd you say, Swiss Army knife when it comes to the show, because there's so many different uses you can use for Jen, and he's always incorporated somehow.
All he wants is a cola, man.
Yeah. And the fact that they didn't trust him in the beginning, but they built this village of science eventually, and they're building inventions and stuff like that. Eventually, Tsukasa's army finds them. They've also revived another strong warrior. I forgot his name is, but he's pretty deadly. They have to like invent guns to stop him. Like, it's a whole thing that ends up leading.
You knew it was gonna come, man. Shit.
It ends up leading to the Stone Wars, which is the theme and the premise of the second season of the show. The Stone Wars. So I've read the manga, and let me tell you, if you're a fan of reading and like reading a lot, the manga will probably be for you, because there's a lot of dialogue in the manga, and I mean text bubbles on text bubbles on text bubbles. Even more so than like Hunter x Hunter at some points.
Right.
But there's so much dialogue within Dr. Stone. But I was really looking forward to the season, because I think the Stone Wars is really where the series kind of like really takes that step forward. Yeah. And the previous 22 episodes or something like that, we're kind of establishing the characters. We're kind of establishing order. We're establishing everyone's kind of place within the show. And the Stone Wars presents them with the first ever time where all these characters, all these inventions, all these things meet the conflict, and everything can be used all at once. And it continues to explore the relationships between people in the show, even people who are on opposing sides. And you see the first episode where what's that ballerina girl's name? She is, let's just talk about this season thus far. We're 3 episodes in.
3 episodes.
Have you seen all 3?
I have. Yeah, I've seen all 3. I actually skipped the week for the second episode so I could watch 2 and 3 at the same time, because
look at you.
Bro, sometimes I need time. I need time, man.
I love first of all, I love the introduction episode. Just them like, okay, we're gearing up for war. We're revisiting a lot of stuff that happens, but it also does stuff like we're making ramen. We're making hot ramen. I'm just like,
hey, that should be looking good, bro.
I mean, that's true. It is true.
But yeah, I
didn't know anything that went into that.
I know, right? The stakes don't seem like crazy at that moment, which, I mean, I'm not going to say episode 1 was like exactly what I needed. I had actually read maybe about 2 chapters after I finished season 1. So I remembered some of this stuff watching it, but I wasn't disappointed with episode 1 or anything like that of season 2. But I like 2 and 3 better. I will say that one was more of an introduction. Like you said, there's still weird like ramen stuff, and like they're
Well,
getting started.
why do you like 2 and 3 better?
Because the cell phone part was really funny to me, and I thought it was cute because Senku doesn't show any type of emotion, and we kind of got to see it. When he finally got to talk to his homies, man, who he haven't spoken in a year. I just thought it was
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah. He kind of
Senku
breaks up a little bit, man. I was
mhm.
like, whoa, what's going on?
In the first season, he fakes his own death,
Hmm.
and they build a grave for him just so people can, his friends can visit it. His friends, Yuzuria and Taiju, can visit it from time to time, even though they're prisoners of Tsukasa's army when they're really kind of like spies, etc.
Right.
Um, but they build a cell phone. They manage to hide everything underneath the ground before bow and arrow guy tries to like snipe them. There's a true sniper in the show, which was like,
There is a
wow.
true sniper.
Um, but that moment, yeah, I agree. It was one of the biggest moments because it's been a lot of episodes since we've seen kaiju incorporated into the
Yeah,
show.
like 14, like 14, 15. Like it was a while. It was a while.
And for them to have that reunion and kind of like everyone, even on the other end, who have never met kaiju, kind of understands the bond between both of them, because you can tell that Senku really does
He
appreciate
really cares
kaiju,
about him. He really does care about
and kaiju, tai, taiju 100% believes the same. It's amazing. And I liked episode 2. I like episode 3. I like the premise of episode 3. We're going to use this recording to try to make this bloodless siege, and we're going to try to
him.
convince people that America is fine and they should join our side because America forces are coming to save us all from this
Yeah.
thing, because
I
no
mean,
one's
isn't that brilliant? It's like, hey, I got an idea. Let's try to convince these people that people are actually coming back on their own. We're fine. That way we can get a head start and get in there and win this thing.
to which Senku and Jen are like, we're going to hell, right? And Senku's like, I don't believe in hell anyway, so
Well, it was
stop.
it was funny when the plan kind of backfired because when they played who's the singer? I forgot the singer's name. And the girl
American singer.
she like lost her mind because she's like, I love her. I'll do anything for her. If I find out anybody betrays her, and they were like, oh,
Wait a minute now.
because they also obviously think about the bad side of it, which is what you
Yeah,
said. Like, we're gonna go to hell for this because once they find out that they're not really being saved, Senku's more like, hey, we'll figure that out when we get to it. Like, you know, it's crazy.
absolutely. But they managed to she was previously the bodyguard,
Mm.
and they managed to kind of bring her on just by saying, of something that's worth value to her, which she was bullied a lot as a kid for being, I guess, extra muscular, extra strong, like, and the music of the artist, gosh, I wish I remembered the damn artist's name.
I know. I'm fine. I'm gonna find it.
um but the music of her really resonated with her, and she holds her very dearly. So she's essentially a super fan, and she realizes during this impersonation thing that Jen is truly not who she thinks she is. But at the end of the day, it's like, listen, you have what I want, which is this record. It means a lot dear to me. And Senku's like, I realize how much this means to you, and I will do my best, and I will go out of
Yeah,
my way to preserve this for you because I know how much it means to you. And if we can at
Lillian.
least have that, Lillian, there we
No,
go.
no
Of
Garcia, but Lillian.
um, and they managed to get her on the side, and that's the end of the episode. But I like where the season is going thus far, and to be honest with you, I know where the season goes, and I will say that the Stone Wars is probably the best part of the early part of the show, and it gets better from moving on from
Right.
there.
That's
Which
that's
to
all I've
me,
heard. Yeah, that's all I've heard as well.
the current arc they're in the manga,
Mhm.
I get it. It's not as good, but I think the arc. So when I initially heard this season that we're going to season 2, I thought we were getting 22 episodes again. So I definitely thought we were getting Stone Wars and
Yeah.
the arc after the Stone Wars, which is another fantastic arc.
Right. So like double up, basically another 25, 26 episodes.
Yeah, but we only getting Stone Wars. I get it. It is what it is. But it's we learn a lot. we learn a lot, we experience a lot. The Stone Wars is gonna, I believe, bring in a whole bunch of new people. It has the conflict that anime fans like. There's not a lot of fighting in the show. There's a lot
Yeah,
more meeting of the
and
minds and mental
that's
warfare.
okay though. That's okay. Again, the anime, especially in America, when you think about it, originally we think about the Sailor Moon, the Gundam, the Dragon Ball Z, the Dragon Ball, which are all fairly active, violent animes, for the most part. And because of that, I've tried to put people on who aren't like huge anime fans, but they know of it. And Doctor Stone for them is not. They barely consider it an anime because of what it actually is. I'm talking about people that don't necessarily dive into anime. I'm just like, hey, check this out. It's kind of cool, but it it doesn't sit the same because of just the context. Like it's just not the same. So I totally believe you. I mean, this Stone War thing should bring in a whole new row of fans, and to be able to actually enjoy the series and take it for what it is. And hopefully, if you're watching Attack on Titan, which is extremely emotional, or Promise Neverland for that matter, which they're on one. Apparently, they're going off track from the manga, so that's a whole other thing. But if you're looking for something to slow down a little bit and just enjoy, this is it right here. Dr. Stone. Check out season 1 and then lock into season 2 because we're only on episode 3 right now.
Absolutely, and I think that's where we'll end on this, especially talking about Doctor Stone. I'm sure as we continue to get through the season, we'll bounce back on this, and I think we'll also do like a proper run through of season 1 too, because it definitely requires
absolutely
its own, not our 20-minute break, not our 5-minute breakdown, but something a lot more expansive on that. Next week. We are bouncing back to the Promised Neverland.
Oh God, we're gonna have a lot to talk about. I'm gonna go read some because I want to see what people are talking about. Can you believe that? I'm gonna go read some Promised Neverland, but I'm not talking to the point from the beginning. I'm saying like from where we are, so that I can like see why everyone is kind of on edge about what's happening right now.
So have you read the Promised Neverland in full?
No, not in full.
Wow. Interesting.
Not in full.
I am interested to hear your very fresh thoughts then.
Yeah, because I want to see what the hell's going on, why people are a little frustrated with how things are going.
If you're not fully aware thus far of the Promised Neverland, first of all, the Promised Neverland, I recommend it to everybody as an anime. I legitimately, when people are like, how do I get into anime? Should I get into anime? I legitimately tell them, go watch the Promised Neverland first, because I think the first season is one of the best first seasons in anime ever. And it's it could have ended the story there and it would have been, I think, a GOAT anime. Season 2 has gotten a lot of, it's gotten a lot of talk thus far because it is not following the manga. It is instead following its own kind of anime thing, and that is dictated by the actual.
Frowned upon,
but it's dictated by the writer of the anime.
I know.
It's not
I
like
get
the
it.
creator. It's not like the studio just decided, we don't need this shit. We don't need this shit.
For sure, bro. I get that. But that don't mean people gonna respect it or be happy about it.
Absolutely not. Definitely, manga enthusiasts are not happy about it, but we'll get into that next episode. And we'll have more Titan time as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, to the Lookout. You can follow us at the Lookout RNC on Twitter. You can follow the Lookout RNC on RNC Radio, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Podcasts, and kind of everywhere you can listen to. You can follow the birthday boy at Old Newsboy on Twitter and wish him happy birthday.
You can if you like. Absolutely. I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can follow that. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. We will be back next week. We'll see you guys then. Take care.